Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. The opening scene features a high school girl, Aisha, who is often troubled by something within her body. She is unable to figure out what is wrong with her, but various stimuli trigger her, leading her to feel very uneasy. As a result of this, she has been seeing her therapist Sharon for several years. One day, Aisha goes through her normal daily routine. She gets ready and goes to school with her best friend Carrie. There, she also meets with her boyfriend Levi, who studies in the same class. During their physics class, a professor teaches them about cymatics, a pattern-forming process through vibrational frequencies. The differing frequency of sounds makes Aisha feel so uncomfortable that she ends up discarding the devices. Later that night, Carrie tells Aisha about a party that's going to start soon. She urges her to come with her boyfriend. Aisha obliges and goes to get Levi, but spots him using a service robot to gratify himself. This leaves her disappointed, again with the Handyman 5000. So she storms away from there. Upon arriving at the party, she starts drinking and dancing with one of her classmates, Caleb. Soon after, she leads the guy to a room in order to make out with him. But just before they can begin, Levi shows up and takes her away for a private conversation. He admits that he received secret robotic codes, so he wanted to test them. He also apologizes for his actions, but Aisha is so angry that she ends their relationship. In a drunken state, she walks into the restroom where she accidentally trips and falls. As a consequence, a glass bottle in her hand shatters, and one of its pieces pierces her forearm. Despite feeling excruciating pain, she manages to pull out the glass shard, only to witness a shocking sight. There are wires instead of veins in her arms. Just then, she's disturbed by a high-pitched sound, so she grabs tweezers and puts it inside her ears. She then pulls out a long wire from within. This unsettling sight sets her into a panic, and she ends up collapsing. In the morning, she awakens in her room to discover numerous wounds on her body, but instead of blood, she finds wires and lights in it. Despite being scared, she somehow manages to regain composure before heading to school. When she arrives, she is approached by Carrie, who inquires about the previous night. However, Aisha ignores her and rushes to the bathroom to inspect her wound. Upon closer examination, she finds a metal device with a serial number. Before she can delve further though, a classmate named Jenny spots her wound, leaving her stunned. She asks what's going on, but Aisha walks away without answering. She then approaches a college robot, William, and shows him her wound, hoping to get some answers. However, the robot doesn't disclose anything, citing policy restrictions. Terrified and confused, Aisha goes to her therapist and confides everything in her. In a surprising twist, Sharon recites a code that deactivates Aisha, revealing that she is not a human, but a robot. Sharon then uses her handheld device to archive and erase all of Aisha's memories from the past few days. In the next scene, Aisha wakes up to find no wounds, which makes her believe that it was all a dream. With great relief, she arrives at school and goes to talk to her best friend. However, Carrie is mad at her because she tried to make out with Caleb, whom she likes. Aisha, who has no recollection of this, is obviously perplexed by her friend's reaction. Proceeding to the physics lab, she meets Jenny, who appears somewhat scared of her now. Jenny asks about her well-being, but Aisha doesn't understand what she's implying. Jenny then activates a high-frequency sound, causing Aisha to become extremely disturbed. She then explains that only machines can hear this level of sound. This revelation freaks Aisha out, so she rushes out of the building only to run into William. She learns from him that they talked for 11 minutes the previous day. Upon inquiring why she doesn't have any recollection of this, the robot checks her before informing her that her memory drive was wiped 18 hours ago. With consent, he helps her restore the erased data, reminding her of everything. Now that she is unable to come to terms with the horrifying truth, Aisha storms away from the scene. She continues to run until she reaches her geographical limitation, a point that she cannot cross. Elsewhere, we are introduced to Noah, the CEO of an advanced tech company called Rylium Technologies. He is currently conducting an experiment on a naturally deaf woman. He administers a special drop into her ear that surprisingly enables her to hear for the first time. This makes the woman emotional, and the audience applauds Noah's success. Meanwhile, Aisha approaches Levi and asks for the secret robotic codes he had been using earlier. Despite initial reluctance, he eventually hands over the codes codes. Following this, she uses a library computer to insert the code into her system, granting her access to all the abilities possessed by a robot. This newfound power allows her to read people's minds and extract any information she wants from them. For the first few moments, she gets so excited that she walks out and calls random people by their names. She then begins testing the limits of what she's capable of, but the overwhelming memory load causes her to collapse. She regains her consciousness a while later and sees that her father, Martin, has arrived to take her back home. Once they head back, he tells her to get some rest, while he stays in the car to call Sharon. Sensing something amiss, Aisha activates her enhanced hearing skill and eavesdrops on their conversation. She shockingly learns that Martin is also aware of her true nature. After this, he goes to meet Sharon, while the suspicious Aisha begins investigating his room. Martin expresses concern for his daughter, but Sharon claims that she can't control her anymore, as Aisha has hacked into her own system. Back at home, Aisha discovers a hidden tablet, from which she learns that her father is not only surveilling her, but also reading her thoughts and even her facial expressions. The scene then cuts to 4 years ago in Dallas, where Martin met Aisha for the first time at an event. She reminded him of his biological daughter, Cynthia, whom he lost to salmonella. Feeling a strange connection, Martin approached Aisha and started talking with her. It was at this moment she introduced him to Sharon as her mother. Their first meeting went so smoothly that Martin started to visit them more often. Over time, a romantic relationship developed between Martin and Sharon, both of whom had experienced the loss of their respective spouses. Despite this, she kept the secret of her daughter being a robot. One day, Martin picked up Aisha from school and took her for a drive, unaware of her geographical limitations. When Sharon learned of this, she hastily called him and instructed him to pull over. Confused, Martin continued driving until Aisha's system exhibited unusual behavior, compelling him to stop. Shortly after, Sharon arrived at the scene and recited a code to put her into sleep mode. She then disclosed everything to Martin, also confessing that she hid it for Aisha's safety. At last, she erased herself from the girl's memory and reprogrammed herself as her therapist. Back to the present, Aisha confronts Martin, demanding answers. He then finally discloses that she was part of a specialized project, and Sharon was the one to write her programs. Martin explains that they kept her hidden because Rileyums are after her. Here, it's revealed that Sharon created Aisha for the company, but Noah rejected her, claiming that AIs like Aisha are beyond regulation. He also ordered her to shut it down, but she refused to do so. As a result, she ran away with Aisha and kept her hidden ever since. Armed with this revelation, Aisha goes to Sharon and demands the deactivation of all the systems they use to monitor and control her. When the latter hesitates, she threatens to expose her identity on social media, making her agree. Now, with a new sense of liberty without surveillance, Aisha changes her getup and proceeds to school with a noticeable change in attitude. She no longer engages in friendly conversations with anyone. While wandering the school grounds, she suddenly spots Noah's brother Abel leading a school robot off the school premises. He then deactivates her system and loads her into his van. He also checks William's database, from which he learns of Aisha's serial number. Sensing potential danger, Aisha quickly flees the scene. Shortly after, she is approached by Jenny, who informs her about the presence of a tracker on her feet. Aisha inquires how she knows about this, to which the latter explains that she used the same tracker to locate her. Jenny then assists her in removing the tracker and leads her to an abandoned place. After this, Jenny, who has been researching Rileyum, suggests that they devise a proper plan to stay safe from this tech company. Aisha wonders why she's been helping her, to which Jenny replies that they used to be close friends, but since her memory was wiped out numerous times, she forgot her. Afterwards, the two friends go to Levi and ask him to drive them to Canada, as they intend to meet Noah and prove that Aisha deserves to exist. On their way, Levi, who is unaware of her secret, makes some offensive statements regarding the robot, which upsets her. After an entire day of driving, they stop by a motel to spend a night there. The following morning, while Levi goes out to get some coffee, Aisha asks Jenny to hack into her system and retrieve all erased data from the very beginning. Jenny agrees, and as the process initiates, Aisha begins regaining all of her memories. Here, it's revealed that Aisha and Jenny became friends 3 years ago from the present date. As time passed, their relationship eventually turned romantic, and they started dating. The two were so in love with each other that Aisha started to stand outside Jenny's house at midnight, waiting for her to wake up. This is how quick human brain chemistry tells us to become stalkers. But when Martin and Sharon learned of this, they decided to wipe out her memories, as she wasn't really programmed to handle affection or obsession. As a result, when she went to school the next day, she completely ignored Jenny and befriended Carrie, leaving her heartbroken lover behind. In addition, Aisha recollects how Noah and Abel rejected her and confined her in a basement storeroom. During that time, she had a brother named Kalian, another AI robot created by Sharon. The siblings seemed to have a deep bond, and they promised not to leave one another. But one day, their promise was broken when Sharon came to retrieve Aisha and escaped the company for good. Overwhelmed by all of these memories, Aisha runs away from the motel. However, she can't go much farther due to low battery, so she sits down on the side of the road. Meanwhile, Jenny and Levi head out in search of their friend. At this point, she finally discloses the truth to him, leaving him in shock. He is initially upset, thinking that Aisha fooled him, but Jenny clarifies that she wasn't aware of it either. A short while later, they locate Aisha and help her charge her system. While the two friends leave her to get fully charged, Abel manages to track her down. He then uses a modern weapon to secretly deactivate her before abducting her. He drives her to Noah in the Rylium headquarters, but before he hands her in, Aisha somehow manages to convince him to let her see Kalian. As a result, he takes her to the basement and activates Kalian, leading to a joyful reunion between the siblings. However, their happiness is short-lived as Noah shows up and deactivates Kalian. He then takes Aisha to his office, where Martin and Sharon are already waiting. Following this, Noah declares his decision to shut down Aisha forever. Martin and Sharon attempt to explain that she poses no threat to humanity and is different from other robots, but their pleas land on deaf ears. Hearing the argument, Aisha is devastated on how they are controlling her life. In a fit of rage, she storms out of the room and makes her way to the basement, but before she can reach her brother, Noah initiates the termination process that slowly deactivates her system. As she collapses to the ground, Martin cradles her in his lap and sobs while witnessing her die. Subsequently, both Kalian and Aisha's bodies are subjected to a grinding machine, crushing them into pieces. In the aftermath, Martin and Sharon head back home with sad expressions on their faces. On the way, they come across Jenny and Levi, who also break down in tears upon learning of Aisha's tragic fate. The following day at school, Jenny and Levi stumble upon William, who inquires about Aisha, mentioning that she has missed 3 appointments with him. When they seek more details about the appointment, the robot asks for a password as the files are encrypted. Jenny then quickly takes out Aisha's diary from her bag and reads out several codes from it. Fortunately, one of the codes proves to be correct, which ultimately activates Aisha's AI within William's body. It turns out that she had previously uploaded a backup of herself in William's database for safety reasons. Aisha's return makes her friends very happy and they all embrace each other. On the other hand, Martin also receives a voice message from Aisha, who assures him that she will come back to him once she finds a correct body for herself. Elsewhere, we see that several artificial human structures are being crafted, with one of them bearing a resemblance to Aisha. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this and hit the like button to help us out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.